our third record holder. Now, here is an astonishing thing. That is Stephen Wildish, and he beat Mo Farah.
Whoa.
And what did he beat Mo Farah?
Oh, most corn consumed. No.
Yes. He held the world record in 2014, 39.91 seconds. In 2017, Steve Wildish smashed that in just 26.3
What's the distance, sorry?
seconds.
100
it's
metres?
100 metres, yeah. So he had tried earlier in the year, but his sack had been deemed too small.
Do you know what? In this weather, I've had the same problem.
So the man who beat Mo Farah substantially is in our audience. Please welcome Stephen Wildish. I mean, how did you know, Steve, that you're good at doing a sack race?
I was unbeaten since school, so I did all the school races and then...
Did your mum say, oh, my boy is very good at sack racing?
Yeah, she used to film the sack races at school.
Are you allowed to put your feet into the corners of the sack and kind of run along, or do you have to jump?
You have to jump.
You have to jump?
Yeah.
OK. Would you mind having a go for us and showing us your technique? But,
yes!
But wait, we have to have a competitor, so I feel the only person I know who's been and reported at the Paralympics is Josh Widdicombe. I would like Josh to go.
Yes!
Don't let us down,
I won. I didn't do the sack race. I did a race at school called the dressing up race.
Oh, I know.
I won 2 years in a row.
Really?
I left primary school undefeated.
I now want to see Mo Farah doing the dressing up race, but there we are. So please be careful, both of you. Darling, you have to hold the...
Have you got any tips?
I use one arm out, bit of balance.
Whoa.
OK.
No. Ready, boys?
Imagine if I win. How amazing this
If you win, darling, you'll be the world record holder.
Oh, my giddy aunt.
On your marks.
Come on,
Get
Josh.
set, go.
Go, Josh!
Tell you what, though.
Yeah.
About 10 metres in, I thought... I dared to dream.
Yeah, you did.
I saw the headlines. I thought, this is it. This is my moment.
Yeah, world
I could
record.
see you were keeping a bit back for the final.
I thought, finally, I found my thing.
But you hadn't.
Something this lizard is doing as well as running. Yes, Josh.
Is he worrying what's wrong with his legs?
You might be. I don't think lizards ever worry. He looks quite cheerful. What might he be doing? What all animals do, virtually.
Hunting.
Hunting, yeah.
Sniffing.
Sniffing. What does that involve?
Breathing.
What do you mean?
Breathing.
What does it involve?
Breathing, Josh said. Sorry, I was cruel. I pushed you on that. He's not breathing. That's the strange thing about lizards. They have to twist their bodies so much that it compresses their lungs and they can't breathe. So they do a bit of a run, then they stop, as we'll see. He's running, not breathing at all. Then he thinks, oh, blimey, I need some oxygen. He'll stop. It's only when he's straight, only when he's only when he's straight. that he can, that's just silly. Makes no sense, that he can breathe.
You were like the Oxbridge Johnny Morris then. He's running along. Oh, no.
But we have an example that the fastest humans on Earth run which race?
100 metres.
The 100 metres, and it's said that some 100-metre sprinters don't breathe throughout the race. I mean, they obviously take gulps in, oxygenate themselves, get all ready, like that, and then they're running, and you see them in slow motion, and then lower down, fadabada, fadabada, fadabada.
Is that the noise it makes?
That's the noise it makes.
Wow. When it reaches 20 miles an hour, that's the noise it starts to make.
Wow.
Fadabada.
Do-do-do-do-do.
What a thing. Has anyone else
Have you, darling?
There he goes, for double da. I can't walk and drink at the same time. I really struggle with it. Is that normal?
No, I think it is. Who wants to throw in there?
Well, I think you'd have to go slowly.
Yeah.
Because the motion creates a wave that will slop over the side of the glass.
Exactly.
It's just physics.
Anybody a fan of Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So the guy who came up with the technology, Gamgee...
Samwise Gamgee.
Yes,
Frodo's best friend.
So...
Who never let him down, no matter what anyone said. I'll stay with you, Master Frodo. Give me your hand. You know what I do? Give me your hand.
I don't know if I fancy you more or less now.
I'm going to go with less.
Okay. Hello, Legolas. That's sit down, Legolas.
It's definitely less.
Anyway, he is named
After that man?
No, not after him, after his brother. His brother was called J. Sampson Gamgee.
Yeah.
And he is the person who invented that surgical dressing where you get cotton wool between two pieces of absorbent gauze.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was known as Sampson Gamgee, and Sam Gamgee is most likely that Tolkien got the name from him, which is my connection between the Hobbits and ice skating just for you as a Christmas present.
Brilliant.
I auditioned for The Hobbit.
What? I don't know if I fancy you more or more.
Yeah, well, I didn't get it.
To be what, then?
The Hobbit.
Bilbo, you auditioned to be Bilbo Baggins.
I auditioned to be Bilbo Baggins, and the day before...
I'm going to blow your mind now, but go on, carry on.
They brought down the maximum height. And my agent phoned me, she said, how tall are you? And I said, I'm 5'6.5". And
How tall do you want me to be? That's what you said. Never accept the premise of the question. Find out what they want.
So you didn't go?
No, they said we brought down the maximum height, but I still qualified. I was short enough to be a Hobbit.
And?
I went, and I was dog shit.
I also auditioned for something in that.
Did you?
Now, they said you'll be 4 hours a day in makeup in New Zealand. Is that OK? And I went, yep.
How tall are you?
How tall do you want me to be?
I went for a part for Frodo.
Did you?
Yeah, and they went, you're a bit tall, you look more like an elf, get out.
I really wanted an audition.
You're the right size and everything.
I don't think you'd have been professional on set.
I wouldn't have been.
Yeah,
I
she'd
would
have
have
been
been so
like, can
excited.
someone remove this crying woman, please?
The defining characteristic of Nazi toothpaste.
Whitening, frightening, depending where you put it, very tightening. Well, it's gone. You must have got your hemorrhoid cream mixed up with your Savalon.
No. No, I've never had hemorrhoid cream.
No,
That
you-
must be awful. In America, they have hemorrhoid aisles in the chemists. I was in a chemist in New York, and there was a whole aisle dedicated entirely to hemorrhoid cream.
Really?
I know.
You've been in the pile aisle.
I've not discussed this on TV.
No, do it for us.
So I had suspected hemorrhoids.
Congratulations.
So I phoned up the doctor.
And he went, what?
And I was like, can I get an appointment? I think I've got hemorrhoids. They were like, oh, we've got to do an over-the-phone consultation. The doctor will phone you back. And she phoned me back and she was like, could you describe your symptoms? And I've never really had, like, an embarrassing illness down there before. So I described my symptoms downstairs. And I was quite embarrassed by it, because as you can see, I'm not stumbling here.
No.
Don't worry, no one will know.
And then I got to the end and she went, are you the comedian, Josh Widdicombe?
Oh, I had somebody ask me that while I was having a colonoscopy.
What, they asked you if you were Josh Widdicombe?
Yes. Wanted to know if I was Josh Widdicombe, and it turned out there'd been a misunderstanding with a phone call.
I'd like the idea they're in your colon. They go, that looks like Josh Widdicombe.
I recognise that anyway.
Can I just say to everybody as a health warning, if you do not need a colonoscopy if all you've had is beetroot. I'm just going to put it out there. Right. The question was, what's the defining characteristic of Nazi toothpaste?
How did we get onto ourselves?
Hemorrhoids.
Oh, it's your fault. It's
No,
your fault.
and I'm the only one who hasn't had them.
I haven't had them.
She just had beetroot.
I just had beetroot. So what happened in 1944, there was a German chemist in occupied Paris. He'd been tracking down stocks of uranium and thorium and sending it back to Germany. And there was enormous fear that the Nazis were about to develop their own nuclear weapons. And so a team of spies, who were collectively known as Alsos, were tasked with discovering what the Nazis' nuclear plans were. And they worked out eventually that all of this radioactive material was being stockpiled by a company in Germany hoping to gain a post-war monopoly on radioactive toothpaste. That was the plan. There was a very popular product called Doramad radioactive toothpaste. It was advertised as making your teeth shine with radioactive brilliance, which it absolutely would do, but they wouldn't stay in your mouth for very long. Now, before we start, I happen to know that one of you encountered a lot of radioactive material when you were a child. Do you know who it was?
Morning.
Yes, Josh.
It was me.
It was you. You were
What a start!
positively glowing. Why is that?
Because I was bitten by a radioactive spider. No, I grew up on Dartmoor, and there was radon.
Yes.
So we used to have these radon detectors.
Yeah.
That I had one in my room that was like a kind of plastic yellow thing that would kind of sit on a shelf and would tell you if there was radon.
Do you really believe that? It sounds like some toy your children...
I'm now starting to question whether my parents just...
mucking about.
Yeah, were taking the piss, yeah.
No, but you're right. Especially the middle of Dartmoor is the worst place in the country for radon.
Is that why he's so small? You know that radiation causes mutations.
Yes, the largest source of radiation that the UK public gets comes in the form of gases radon and thoron, and being in the middle of Dartmoor, that's absolutely the worst place. Now, you two are the Birmingham team. You both grew up in Birmingham. It's actually an island of low radiation. It's very low risk, a bit like Essex.
Should we be proud of that?
Yes. I love Birmingham. I think Birmingham's fab, yeah.
Yeah, I do as well.
I love it. I love the canal. I think the canal's fantastic. No?
Really?
We used to go on canal holidays to
Birmingham?
To Birmingham.
God, he is mutated.
You live in the most beautiful county in England and you go to Birmingham on your holiday.
It was a real refreshing change, actually, to see people. But my dad would say the great thing about Birmingham for canal holidays, it's got more miles of canal than Venice.
That's true, it
Which
has.
implies he'd considered Venice.
Josh, do you know why residents in Devon and Cornwall are exposed to quite as much radiation as they are?
No, I don't.
It's the ground rock. It's largely granite.
Granite.
So the granite contains small amounts of uranium that decays and that produces radon. And you can be exposed to as much as 7 millisieverts of radiation per year. So that's the same as having a CT scan. It's the same as taking 85 transatlantic flights. It is weirdly the same as eating 70 kilos of what, do you think?
Granite.
Brazil nuts.
Oh, I eat so many Brazil nuts.
They contain quite a lot of radon because they have very deep roots which can get right down into the soil that's high in radium.
What's an unsafe amount of Brazil nuts?
I mean, I think anything under 70 kilos, you're probably going to be OK. What's the worst thing that can happen when you open something?
Is it something that begins with O?
Well, it's lots of opening nights that have not gone as well as possible. So the Olympics we could start with. There will be no doves at the Tokyo 2020.
Oh, no.
And that is because they were banned after the 1988 Seoul Olympics, when instead of flying out, as this photograph suggests, over the sky, they decided to perch on the huge saucer in the centre of the stadium with the Olympic flame. And several birds were incinerated.
You say incinerated, do you mean roasted?
I don't get this. Yes. Just a little bit more.
Absolutely. It's the most delicious opening ceremony I've ever been at.
Opening night at BBC Two was a disaster. So there was a power outage and the whole of Television Centre went dark that night. But the best bit of the story is to publicise the launch. They'd been using a graphic of a kangaroo. So the kangaroo represented BBC One, and then in the pouch, the little Joey is BBC Two. So they thought for opening night, let's get some real kangaroos in the studio. And they had just got them into the lift and pressed the button at the moment when the power went.
Oh, my word.
And apparently the kangaroos went berserk.
I like
like to think that there was just some guy in the lift going, oh, my God.
Also, some opening nights plays have been disastrous. So Balzac wrote a play called Les Ressources de Quinola, and it opened to a completely empty house on March the 19th, 1842. So he had hoped to create a buzz about the play, and he told everybody that the tickets were sold. It was impossible to get a ticket. So nobody bothered.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Nobody cared.
Did they do the play?
Well, the equity rule is you don't have to do the play if there are fewer members in the audience than there are in the play. So whether it's the same...
That's true, no. And once I was doing a gig at Willesden Library Centre. Bill Bailey was there in the Rubber Bishops. There's two of them. I think Bob Mills, me, someone else. And then there were 7 people in the audience. I'm thinking, oh, shit, there's more of them than there are of us. And then this couple came over to us and said, would it help if we left? And we said, as a matter of fact, technically it would. So they left and we didn't have to do it.
That's great. So when Disneyland opened, the very first Disneyland in California, July 17th, 1955, it's known as Black Sunday because so much went wrong. So the first thing was there were 15,000 gate crashes. Apparently it was incredibly easy to counterfeit the tickets. Plus, somebody got a ladder to the parking lot and people could pay $5 to climb over the hedge. The asphalt had been poured at 6 o'clock that morning, so all the guests' shoes got stuck in it. There was a circus parade in which a tiger and a panther broke loose and had a fight.
I mean, if they're going to break loose, at least they've cancelled each other out.
Yeah. Lucky there were 2 of them out. Not a tiger looking for a fight.
Release the panther, the tiger's already out!
Do you think that humans will ever teleport?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, OK, Holly, why?
If you think about it, 10 years ago we didn't have Uber, and now we've got Uber.
And that's as good as teleporting.
Yeah, that's just...
There's been times when I don't remember how I got home, and then I've looked at my emails and I realised I got an Uber receipt, and I thought, that's as good as...
Teleporting. Well, here's the extraordinary thing, is that we have already done it, although not to ourselves. We are heading into quantum physics, but fear not, it is not difficult at all. So quantum physics is essentially the study of extremely small particles, so atoms, electrons, photons, which are...
Molecules?
Light particles.
Light particles.
So, in 2017, China teleported information from a photon into outer space using a process called quantum entanglement. So, now, let me explain this to you. I want you to imagine this is a single energised photon. What you can do with a photon is you can fire it from a laser into a crystal and you can effectively turn it into 2 not quite so charged photons. So you have to imagine now that this is 2 photons, but they are effectively still the same banana, the same photon. It's just that we have separated them. Now, I'm going to take this bit of it and I'm going to chuck it to you, Cariad. So I need you to imagine that you are in a spacecraft, you are 500 kilometres away from the Earth. You're in a Chinese spacecraft. You ready?
Yep.
There we go. Fantastic. OK.
Tell you what, at least you didn't make a meal of it.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write something on this. And this is the astonishing thing. It is 500 kilometres away. I have written Alan. If you then show yours, imagining that it is now 500 kilometres away, it too says Alan on it. Whatever you did to the photon that is left on Earth, exactly the same thing will happen to the photon that has gone out into space. And we don't know why. We shouldn't feel bad that we don't know why. Einstein did not understand it at all. It freaked him out. He called it spooky action at a distance.
Oh, I get it. Now I get it.
So here is the weirder thing. We could pair this bit of banana, if you like, with an orange.
Wait, we're pear, orange or banana?
If I then did something to the orange, it too would appear on that bit of banana. I'm trying to use fruit as an example, but basically I could pair another photon, a third one, to this one on Earth, but it is still having the same existence.
God, I feel really weird.
So you basically, when you teleport, you're going to make a version of yourself elsewhere, and then you can do whatever you like to it.
In a way, you're right, Alan. The trouble is that we just don't know enough about it.
I do know, though. I know what it is.
OK.
2 words for you.
Yes.
Fax machine.
like is how you've kept so up to date.
Now for some multiple choice. Listen carefully. True or false? True or false questions are more likely to be true than false.
I'm gonna...
I need an answer.
Oh, I love George Harrison. I'm gonna go true.
Is the right answer. Very good. Yep. 50-50 ball, as they say, and you did well. That's right. Yeah, it's...
There isn't a vault or a bank where all the true or false questions in the world were ever asked and somebody decides to count which are more true or more false. That's like saying when you're given directions, is the first direction more often likely to be turned left or turn right? That's where you're going.
Left.
Yes.
But you can analyse a huge bank of questions, which is what was done. American exam questions in this instance. And they found that it was 56% of them the answer was true and 44% the answer was false. Right. And it seems the reason is that the examiners, of course, have to think of the questions all the time. And it's a lot easier to think of a true question than it is to think of a false one.
When I did my GCSEs, they said as a tip, if you're doing a multiple choice A, B, C, D, and you don't know the answer, go B or C, because the lazy examiners are more likely to put the answer in the middle than on the edge. Would have been better if they just taught us the answer.
Yes, I was going to say.
Don't worry about learning about science, just go C.
All right, I'll give you another chance then, OK. If question 1 is true in an exam, what is question 2 likely to be?
True.
Oh! No, it's true, false is more prevalent.
Oh, that's so boring, though.
It's not absolutely guaranteed, of course. The chance the next answer will be different from the present one is 63%, though, so it's quite a high amount. So question 2, the answer was true. Question 3, 63% that it will be false. The way, therefore, to optimise your scores, if you're doing a true or false, is to answer all the ones you know the answer to, obviously. Then, the ones next to them put the opposite. And then all the rest that are left over put true. And then you've got your best chance of a good score. Yeah.
Or just revise more.
Or just revise more.
Yeah, you are everything that is wrong with British education.